has some kind of plan here, banning out Suyo and Zusin. Means you're very obviously telling the opponent to grab Joy here. They can definitely go for like Harif, which that's going to be a lock-in here. But I feel like Joy is a very dangerous opponent to let through. Even if Phobius matches up pretty okay against her, she still isn't someone I would consider letting through the ban phase if you're not planning to grab Suyo to match up to her.
I do wonder if RRQ Hoshi going to have more of an answer, right? Again, we talk about their coach, we got Kescu on that end. Remember the series when they fought against SRG in M6? Even though SRG came out on top, RRQ Hoshi showed some genuine innovation, right? Like Rinz's Kadita, where he showed twice in the M6 series, once during Swiss and once during knockouts. Both won, so he technically had 100% win rate on his Kadita. And see if that's going to be the case, because Lucas and Moskov, they both went through for Liquid PH.
Lucas has been up and down so far. Some players have not been able to make him work as well, but we've also seen just how powerful he can be with the right items and the right team composition. Kirk was terror on it. Moskov, not too bad a matchup against Harif, but definitely still not going to have the best time playing. And then the Alpha comes out in the jungle for RRQ. Not the biggest fan of this. I feel like Alpha just straight up has trouble against Joy.
Oh yeah. At least it's RRQ Hoshi. I mean, we've seen Sujin. He also has a couple of tricks up his sleeve. Red Dream being one of them. This Alpha should do well in these extended fights, against Lucas, if it ever comes down to that. Start banning out the Loi first in that second phase. Last season when Team Liquid Philippines played in the challenge seasons, that time we banned it in the gold lane. I remember they went through the longest road to get to the challenge finals, essentially playing full series and having to play LCQ as well. And they were dropping gifts to AI Esports at that time, and Kautizi did say that the assassin meta was a bit uncomfortable for him. A long time has passed since then, so it'll be interesting to see how far he has come as a player using assassins.
Yeah, I don't really think I've seen much of Carl TZ playing Joy before, so that is going to be a joy to watch. They do decide to ban the Belleric in the end. That is a classic Joy counter, but similarly, the Tigreal going to be let through, and RQ immediately snatching it up. Liquid also drafting very quickly, going for the high-lows here, so that is likely going to be a high-lows roam matching up against Tigreal. Will be able to provide a good amount of vision alongside it.
Who's going to be in that mid lane, right? We still got the Vex, we still got the Aurora, we still got the Veil. I mean, we've seen Veil every now and then. If it comes to that, Sicilian still up on the table as well. Both teams missing their mid laner. The Aurora would be the option for Liquid Philippines. I think one of the things that they struggled to adapt, I think almost a year ago was, during the second half of last year, was the fact that the changes to Lord dances, right, where Lord just keep hitting harder every single passing second. That's something that Liquid Philippines have struggled. Again, time has passed. We've seen the improvement in the MPLP season 14. They just didn't make it as far as a lot of people thought they would. So see you on last pick for RRQ Hoshi. Stage is set. I'm excited to see what this version of Team Liquid PH has in store for us.
Yeah, Team Liquid PH has just a very honest draft, right? Hylos and Lucas both hold the front line incredibly well. Then they have the Aurora to stop heroes like the Phobius and Alpha from diving in and creating space for Moskov and Joy to come in a little bit later. RQ going for Harif and Sicilian means that they're very heavily focused on magic damage towards the later stages of the game. Phobius and Alpha both lead more into the mid-game stages, so if you get too late in, Liquid are able to maybe itemize a little bit more efficiently against them.
It's going to be pretty interesting. I think for Liquid Philippines, I agree. I feel like this draft is a bit more all-rounded compared to what RRQ Hoshi has in store, and heavy emphasis on that magic damage. But we all know magic damage in the late game has so much value despite 10 items existing. So game 1 is going to kick off right now. We got Liquid Philippines on that blue side and RRQ Hoshi on red.
Two Titanic teams on the land of Dawn right now. RRQ performing respectively in the recent M6 World Championship. Team Liquid having difficulty adjusting to the new meta and not making it onto the world stage. Now eager to prove themselves, TC playing on a very mechanical assassin jungler. This is going to be a fun one, folks.
And that's a little wonder for sure. Susujin was delayed a little bit thanks to Sanji and JP doing one of the legwork in the early game. Oh, Toy actually got the gold crab, so that's an extra bonus for the Harif.
Toy is going to have a good time. You know, Harif does win out the lane against Moscow. TC is just going to try and play the safe here. And we can see a good amount of focus towards Toy's lane as well to try and make sure that he's not ganked so that he can continue winning out that lane and getting as much gold shield as possible. A lot of Team Liquid actually rotating up into the top half of the map instead.
So he's going to show himself, but that will be spotted too. And Liquid Philippines always at the scene slightly earlier compared to RRQ Hoshi, so that crab will be easily secured by Kartizi. The way that see that first turtle, how is it going to be? Seems like we are going to have the turtle on the top side, looking at the current. Of course, the supports want to hit level 4, but it will not be possible for now. Dyron does hit 4 first.
Yeah, we're seeing Edok and JP spend a lot of time in the river, so they're not really able to get EXP from the minions, and now
Sanford transforms and gets control just for a while, but the amount of damage he's outputting, even this early on, is a bit ridiculous. He ends up going down first blood for Dyron, but Turtle will be secured by RRQ Hoshi.
They trade EXP for EXP, but because Susujin got the turtle, it ends up being a slight win for RRQ here. Ended up being a very messy team fight, unfortunately, and despite it being very early on in the game, Rin's actually managed to do a lot of damage in that previous fight because he wasn't being targeted. Now JP being punished for trying to invade RRQ's jungle.
Yeah, trying to walk in before Sanji was even there. His control, all the true damage, is too much. And because Dyron got the first blood, he's able to capitalize on a bit of that extra go, and Sanford is just taking a beating. Meanwhile, Sanji forced to use his ultimate to get away. Kartizi jumps on top of Rince, wouldn't be able to get the kill anyways. So Dyron basically controls the lane now.
Having late priority in both EXP and gold means that RRQ are going to be able to rotate the map a lot more freely. As long as Zyron and Toy make sure that they're kept aware of where Kartizi is going to be on the map, it's going to be a lot easier for RRQ to start invading, going for late ganks, getting more farm across the map, and just generally trying to out-farm Team Liquid PH.
Oh yeah. Right now, Toy has been doing a fantastic job. Kartizi time will get the gold crab for himself. Haven't been able to see him get too proactive with how RRQ Hoshi has been kind of a one step ahead, at least when it comes to the objective fights. Not to mention, establish that the lane priority does go over to them. Turtle spawning in 10 seconds on the top side.
I think it's fine for Kartizi to not really go for anything too early on, because Joy actually is more of a late game scaling type jungler. You really start popping off when you get that holy crystal timing, then Blood Wings to invade a little bit more easily. So as long as they don't fall too behind in terms of gold, Team Liquid is totally fine.
Goes that way, JP wants to for a kill. Bridget later committed. Susujin completely frozen in place. Commits the spill of Alva to still get the turtle for himself before he goes down. And there's always the price to pay if you want to contest RRQ Hoshi. At the end of the day, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but Turtle once more for RRQ Hoshi.
Susujin was CC'd for such a long time there. I thought for sure that he would just try to get out, but instead, committing his ult in, basically throwing his life away to get that turtle is such a gutsy move, and I am a huge fan. RRQ able to get a little bit of a lead from that, but losing their jungler is also not the most ideal because Susujin relies a little bit more on early game snowball in comparison to Kartizi. And despite their win so far, RRQ actually hasn't built up that much of a gold lead, so Liquid are still totally fine.
Oh. not to mention that RRQ Hoshi, they haven't hit that power spike yet, right, in terms of the damage output. So they have a lot of control, sure. But Riz is trying to toy, not really there to join his team for now. So the attention shifts to the bottom side of the map and play to the winning side if you are RRQ Hoshi. But Team Liquid Philippines, they are willing to rotate Sanford just to match the rotation.
I think they have to just match the rotation right now. RQ won't be quite the aggressive lineup overall. Looking at the itemization, most people currently completing their first. I don't think there's anything unusual in the item choices. Yeah, it's all pretty standard right now. Right now, both teams gonna be playing this a little bit slowly because neither side really has the outright stronger early game comp. So they're just gonna be focusing on getting that farm up and contesting objectives.
Third one on the top side. Still very early by E-Dog. Take away space. Finds a two-man explosion into a Spill Alpha and a Secret Hammer push. That's a full combo from RQ Hoshi. He gets Sanji first. Sanford joins the fight. Taken down by Dyron. He continues to go. And that is the team fight for RRQ Hoshi, finding 3 kills and a guaranteed turtle.
Wow. I have no reason to believe that Enoch knew someone was in that bush. He just committed to it and found 2. And the combo was perfect as well, delaying the Sacred Hammer after the Spear of Alpha so that it would end up canceling each other out. And setting up for a beautiful objective take. KTZ gonna find a bit of revenge here.
Even though, throughout all that, Liquid Philippines not too far behind, right? It's just a 1k gold lead for RQ Hoshi, but this great combo.
DC'd. You think that Sanji would be able to escape? Nope, he gets caught out as though. So the Moscow actually got a free tier 1 tower down bottom. Because of small things like this, Liquid is still actually not that far behind anymore.
I mentioned that at least for RQ Hoshi, they were able to get Toy into the fight, so he's kind of now 2-0. E-Dog, not the best target to go on. Another implosion. And once more, RQ Hoshi willing to take the fight. The Frigilation not doing too much. They lost JP already. Kartizi dances in the backline, but now it's going to be Toy chasing him down with the Chrono Dash. Kartizi gets away, and Sanford assassinates Dyron. Sanji loses his passive. Susujin goes for him and finds his mark. RQ Hoshi walks away with 2 kills.
Yeah, I think engaging on E-Doc. It's fine to try and pick up the Tigreal first, but you cannot like surround him and hope that works, because you're just going to be caught by the implosion. I think the real MVP of it was Dyron for sure, because this Phobius was 1v3ing 3 members of Liquid in the backline for a long time, which allowed RRQ to slowly take care of the tankier members and fully push forward the river.
Freeze Squeeze for Susujin and Holy Crystal for Kartizi. So again, key items, that's the Kartizi Joy Power Spike, Holy Crystal online. 9 minutes into the game, just in time for the first Lord fight. We've seen how much crowd control and damage RQ Hoshi has. And all this while, Rinse is just stacking up. Dyron is in the backline, isolated from the rest of his team. RQ Hoshi wants the Lord, will find it. No destruction does connect. UTZ not joining the fight just yet. Kartizi makes the call to pick off Sanford, and Team Liquid Philippines will exchange that bottom. Does connect. UTZ not joining the fight just yet. Kartizi forced away. RQ Hoshi
partially biting the bullet a lot in these team fights, and JP just being taken out slowly. The final back impact from Riz. This is Cecilion stacking up very well. Just completed the Wishing Lantern as well. Maltese tried to time his entrance to get the retry in, but Enoch specifically saved that implosion to stop him so that Susujin can get it for free. So you can see that RRQ Hoshi definitely feels very comfortable together. Still, the synergy, very clean, very present. But in the bot lane,
Toy just got his Holy Crystal, so he's willing to fight this. Kartizi seems to be a fight mid-size. Susujin is a 3-man Frigid Glacier from Sanji. So unfortunately, Dyron is gonna fall. Riz makes his way out to safety. Still, destruction does miss. So at the end of the day, the Team Liquid Philippines defended their base.
Confidence from RRQ there. They're very good at team fighting, but when they're scattered, Liquid can take advantage of that. They knew that Toy and Edok were both at the bot lane dealing with a little bit too far forward with small, only 1k in favor of RRQ. So
Frigid Glacier only freezing Susujin in place. So that's two big ultimates from Liquid Philippines. We'll be back up for the next Lord in 15 seconds. Back to a stalemate where you have your TZ split pushing lanes and then Toy trying to match it. Carl TZ trying to find a backline, but finds it very hard to do so.
Liquid does have pretty good split push potential, though. I think TZ has been doing a very good job of that. The entire bot lane of towers is gone because RRQ does need to fight together pretty heavily. Looking at the itemization, there's 3 radiant armors on the side of RRQ specifically. Build up stacks on the high-low so that they can defend a little bit easier against if TZ actually going for a roll.
The cost survived barely. Edom shows up, his own conceal, too many potion, pulls the ball in to his team, and RRQ Hoshi commits to it. Susujin to the back, takes out Sanji, JP falls, Toy assassinated by UTZ, but they both trade lives, and at the end is RRQ Hoshi who comes out on top with 4 kills, a double for Dyron.
Edok is really standing out this game. Real. The implosions have been pretty hit or miss throughout the day, but Edok has been clean every single time. And that is just what you can achieve if you delay these big team fight ultimates a little later into the fight when the enemy team has already stopped thinking about it. Sanford, he is taken out. Killer free for Dyron, wipe out for RRQ. Sanji and JP will respawn in time to defend the tower, but not to stop Susujin from getting the Lord.
RRQ Hoshi finally got, this is of course their biggest goal lead in this game, just 4,000. We even saw the potential of that 1v1 between both the Moskov and the Harem. Actually closer than I expected. Moskov put up a pretty good fight. Now it's about the Lord defense, and honestly, Liquid Philippines have pretty good base defense.
Yeah, their base defense is not bad at all. With like Hylos and Aurora, they're pretty good at this. But RRQ also has very strong artillery in the form of Rins that'll slowly try to whittle down from afar. Conceal play comes out.
Yeah, Ido is so active. He's always looking for opportunities. Then the top wave cleared up. Bottom one is Lab. Sanji, he's caught! Pulled back by the Dark Wave. And without the Aurora, the anti-siege potential has just dipped. Susujin misses the spear of Alpha, but it's all about the base. RRQ Hoshi is slowly trying to strangle Team Liquid Philippines in their own base. The full engage Susujin in the midst of things, but led by Dyron and Edok. And this time, it is just too much for Liquid Philippines to do if your TZ gets blasted by the RRQ Hoshi.
The Kings of Kings turning Team Liquid into puddles on the floor. As they are melted down one by the fat impacts in the backline. Rins has scaled up, and this is Celion.
The MDL gold lane matchup, the showdown, at least game 1 goes over to Toy.
With the big team fight ultimates, because then they wouldn't be positioned in a way that could stop themselves from being caught. Edok even being MVP of game number, I think it's the first roamer of the day to get it.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Of course, honorable mentions to Prince and Crowd TZ. I would even throw in Dyron, right, on this Phobius, who has been doing a phenomenal job. He's constantly disrupting the backline. He's throwing his life. He's dealing with Sanford. He's dealing with Sanji, and allowing the rest of his team to have the space to consistently output damage without worrying too much. But I gotta say, even Riz on the Sicilian, he's been hitting some nasty sand calls.
Rins has been A player to keep an eye on. Ever since M6, you can tell that he is a more aggressive mid lane type player. Doesn't really like to sit back and be the utility. And I am a big fan of those types of players. Just like I'm a big fan of a good roamer. Edok saving the implosion every single time. This should have logically been a risky lineup to play against a Joy because Tigreal is literally the only hero that can stop her. Edok was there to stop her every single time. So hey, job's done, why not?
It's just so refreshing. I mean, a good, you know what they say, a bad roamer feels that you are ineffective, but a good roamer is always there, and it always feels like you are kind of the catalyst to being the win condition. The Tigreal, which is, I feel like a hero that on the surface looks pretty straightforward, but in terms of the technical part, so many things that you need to consider before going in for implosion and how you're gonna set up the fights. Edok is showing a masterclass on how to pilot a Tigreal where you have so many targets to watch out for.
There's actually a lot of quick and easy mini stunts in the game right now that can cancel out an implosion or sacred hammer midway, which completely messes with a Tigreal's combo. So Edok, it's not actually easy, the things that he does. The way that he sets up is so clean. And while Toy did a very good job this game, I think Yuktezi did try, right? The Moskov was meant to scale up, get the mostly full items, and then come in and start snowballing off of team fights. But because he ended up dying in the first fight that he joined, he just never got off the ground, and that allowed RRQ Hoshi to completely take over.
Really not, he can't do it by himself. RRQ Hoshi taking game number 1. A very straightforward draft, and this all started with a double jungle ban, right? Fanny and Suyo ban by RRQ Hoshi. They forced the Joy to be picked up by Liquid Philippines and responded with an alpha. And at the end of the day, it was all about the setup potential. You got Tigreal, you got alpha. The layerings of follow-up was something that kept on catching Team Liquid Philippines off guard.
Yeah. Normally, you would never give away a hero like Joy when you yourself ban out Suyo, but I think RRQ are aware that Yuktezi still hasn't quite been able to figure out how to truly maximize assassin gameplay. And we saw that, right? I think Team Liquid just generally felt a lot more passive than we were used to seeing them in the past during their peak era. And unless they're able to figure that out, then things are going to be rough for them.
You know, when you look at this heat map by RRQ Hoshi, in the Susujin, we saw, like, I think the first or second turtle fight where he was controlled for days on end, but he's still willing to sacrifice himself, right? Like, people call him kind of the king, the king of the jungle in Indonesia, like he's like the little lord. But the presence of mind that Susujin has, and when he's playing at his best, really feels unstoppable. The amount of follow-up setups that he had with the Spear of Alpha and the way that he uses it as a gauge is something that you don't really get to see often, and definitely not as consistent as what we've seen.
For a while, Susujin was given the nickname of the mercenary because he would join multiple teams here and there, and honestly do a very good job in them. And I'm personally a really big fan of Susujin as a player because I feel like he fulfills a niche that very few players are able to achieve, in the sense that he is able to play tank, he's able to play fighter, he's able to play assassin, he's able to play main carry and utility. He just fulfills whatever is necessary from his team and is able to adjust at a moment's notice based on what the game requires of him. And that's something that you don't get to see a lot in many junglers. It's what allows RRQ to play in such a unique way and very universal. Of that, you can see that they're a lot more capable of handling the current meta with the Team Liquid. That is a little bit concerning right now. One game away from Team Liquid having to be forced to fight for the last chance qualifiers. Not a position you want to be in.
Definitely would feel like deja vu from last season, where they have to go through this entire run, this entire lower bracket run that felt like it lasted forever. But yeah, I mean, I miss Sujin, but he has said multiple times he doesn't miss the region. At least he doesn't miss the region.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a feels bad, but even seeing him on the stage, I'm glad that RRQ Hoshi is giving this roster another chance, another run. Right after a almost successful MPL ID season, they just fell short in the finals. Either way, I think RRQ Hoshi a lot more promising. The fact that they're not playing with Skylar and they are still putting up what we kind of saw at the M series stage is in of itself impressive.
Yeah, Toy actually looked pretty good. I liked his composure, I liked his decision making, I liked the way that he coordinated with the rest of the team. It's definitely a lot easier to do so because RRQ already feels like such a synergistic lineup anyway. But being able to slot himself in there feels very nice to me. I want to see that again from UTZ. I think it's clear that Team Liquid were trying to play a slower game. They were trying to basically dictate the pace and maybe only take team fights when they themselves felt like it was comfortable. But nowadays, you really got to be prepared for any sort of situation. And it still could have worked if UTZ didn't unfortunately get picked off by Ritz at the very end after taking out Toy. He could have actually snowballed off of that and became a legitimate threat. So game number 2, I think it's going to be very interesting, right? I think Team Liquid does need to just go back to comfort. If Carl TZ has to play like Brethren instead, hey, just give it to him, see how it goes from there.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, I sometimes I look back at UTZ and I definitely remember kind of the way that he played back in the game lab era, and at that time he was an incredibly aggressive player, right? So it made me wonder how he's gonna fare when he has to play with the main lineup of Team Liquid PH. Because this is definitely not the same as the tank meta where they can just run you down. There definitely needs to be a bit of push and pull. And I'll say he still has kept kind of the flair that he showed, but clearly circumstances are a bit more different, right? You gotta pick your fights better, and in that game 1, he just wasn't given enough space to kind of pop off.
He was already having to deal with a less than ideal lane matchup, right? That's why RRQ is so powerful nowadays, as long as everything else is banned out. Moscow is still pretty alright. You're able to split push the lane, you're able to join the fights quite easily again with Spear of Destruction, but he wasn't really able to land those in the right positions. Like, it was basically being smacked right in the middle of the team fight. So if he takes it, he puts himself already in a very dangerous spot. So go for something that's a little more comfortable, a little bit more easy to execute, something that's a little more liquid in general. Otherwise, RRQ just seems to be a much more effective Swiss Army knife as a team.
Yeah. I think when you say something that's a bit more liquid, I sort of just gravitate towards the Beatrix, right? Like, it feels like something that they would go for. I know Benny QT probably would be thinking about the Beatrix. Surprisingly, we haven't seen Beatrix the entire day. I know teams have gone for it. We've seen Moskov, Harif, even the Claude, but not the Beatrix yet.
Yeah, I think Beatrix is generally a fairly safe fallback, but it's definitely a jack of all trades, master of none situation, where other marksmen are just better at like being aggressive or farming quickly or having more mobility or just better scaling overall. Because of that, we don't get to see a lot of Beatrix anymore, which is sad because it's always fun to see. But let's see what happens in game number 2 here, because RRQ Hoshi on the red side, 1 game away from clean sweeping the series.
So once more, both teams stay on the same side as they did in game 1, but the bans slightly different. This time it's going to be Liquid Philippines that ban out the Joy themselves. Even though that they were given the Joy, they realized that we just cannot maximize her. They banned the Matilda. The Drusin banned by RRQ Hoshi. I know that Liquid Philippines did ban the Hilda in game 1 too. So with the Joy ban out, does RRQ Hoshi do they stick with banning Suyo?
What's your command?
They could, honestly. But if they really wanted to, they could even leave Suyo open. But it's a little more risky because I think Suyo is a little easier to play overall than Joy, and just is more effective throughout the game. So if you really want to limit Carl TZ's hero pool, then denying that might not be a bad choice, though it does mean giving the Granger away.
See, I mean, for RRQ Hoshi, are going to I'm looking at. I think you probably open both. I do like the I do agree with the suggestion. You open both and then you just take either or. Yeah, and then the Granger out this time.
Oh,
So we go for the trade.
yeah. So Liquid will go for the Suyo here. RQ could actually do something similar to what we saw from RG earlier, right? You go for the... Oh wait, no, Matilda's already gone. So you can't do that. But Hilda is open. That could be an option.
Hilda Alpha? Oh,
I think you don't have to pick Alpha now. Oh, Eve!
Oh wait, the Eve was open, yeah.
Even Harif is actually really... Yeah, even Harif. Definitely. Because you don't have to lock in Alpha here. You can turn pick Alpha because Liquid is not going to contest it away from you.
That's true. So they end up taking the Loi and the Hilda. This is a very scarily, eerily, close, like a carbon copy of what Onyx Philippines would go for. The Loi Suyo is one of like their signatures. So the Alpha does come true, like you said. It's third pick for RRQ Hoshi. Power picks for both teams, especially this Hilda, right? Like, but since there's the Alpha, it does dampen the effect that Hilda would have.
Hilda is still going to be really annoying early on, but having Alpha Harif actually means it's a bit more difficult for Hilda to do the things that she would normally do, right? Just like run into the back line, trying to take out the squishy heroes or deny them. Because like you mentioned, Alpha is actually pretty strong early on, and then Eve and Harif both have ways of taking care of themselves somewhat.
So there's a Blue and Kalik ban. So I left with the Hylos and Gatot as the next two in line. There's still the Tigru for RRQ Hoshi. Even in this case, it's not exactly the worst. The chip is still up. I know it's been led through a few times, but no teams have picked it up yet.
I think it is already a Loi in the game. If Liquid goes for chip and Loi, they would have some insane global pressure, yes, but they're also playing it into a real-world manipulation, which could be quite risky. And even worse, if RRQ decides to lock in the Tigreal again.
There are no shortcuts in life.
Yeah, I was thinking the chip for RRQ Hoshi, because I do feel like there is a way to kind of match the Loi and kind of accelerate the game, right? So we might just go back down to the Tigreal for RRQ then.
Tigreal would work just fine. Cho is actually an option as well, hasn't been banned out, but yeah, Edok did a great job with it, got MVP in game 1, why not go for it?
It's not broken, don't fix it, right? So the Gatot has picked up kind of solid coming, so Hilda, this could still be a Hilda XP again. It's a very, very flexible pick. Question is, are they going to go Moskov again?
I think Iritel is probably
Yeah.
still a little bit better than Moskov overall. In terms of like directly dueling Harif. You can also go for the classic counter, which is a Lunox.
That too.
Beatrix is also a safe fallback. Carry, I'm surprised we haven't seen Carry yet, but looks like Moskov is the comfort pick here for UMTC. They're gonna stick to it. That leaves RQ Hoshi EXP lane for your final pick.
Well, guess we have to wait for another day, potentially, to see that carry. Now we're left with the XP lane. It's left there. I mean, Mark was thinking something like
CC is still good.
CC, yeah, I was thinking of the CC. Benedetta?
CC is
Probably
still
not.
good. Nah, probably not. Edith is not too bad an option as well.
Arlet? No,
Yeah,
CC.
CC. Alright. I already say, they have Tigreal as an initiator already. I think CC is not quite as good as Phobius at opening up the team fight, but contributes a bit more DPS overall. So RQ Hoshi will still have lane priority, I think, in like every single lane on the map, which will allow them to play a bit more in control early game.
It's also the same. I think the SOP is also like if I can tie the Moskov to one of his teammates, he is dead, right? The same applies for the Suyo. So and in lane, like you said, she just doesn't care if it's like a Todd or Hilda, she beats them anyways. Let's see if RQ having this lane priority, especially in the side lanes, you definitely alleviate pressure from that mid trio, but even better, you could start kind of spilling that lead to the lane of your choice. So we head into game number 2. We got Liquid Philippines on the blue side, RQ Hoshi on the red side.
So far, on the first day of the challenge season here at the Snapdragon Pro Series, only the very first match of the day has gone all 3 games. That was between Lazy Esports and Blacklist International. The rest have been clean sweeps. And right now, RQ on track to recreate that, unless Team Liquid Philippines can switch things up and show us that they still have what it takes to stand on the global stage in a meta that has so far been a challenge to them.
Almost felt like they were forsaken at one point. I can see if there's any off-tempo play, right? Because Kautini is on the Suyo. A lot of pressure on the Stanford early on, but he doesn't take the revitalize. So it's a sprint for the Hilda this game. So the approach is going to be a bit different.
So he is intending to go for full rundown. I expect we'll see Sanford not really part of the initial fight and just looking for Toy most of the time, just to deny the Harif any space inside the team fight itself. Looking at the rest of the emblems here, I did see Master Assassin on Yuptizi actually, so that's an interesting choice because even with it, I don't think he's really going to be able to win out against Toy in lane.
That's another, the only other issue that might happen is Sanford, you want to go for full rundown, you even took the Wilderness Blessing and the agility of the Swift. So it's all about the movement speed, but he's still not able to kind of move out lane first, right? I think that's something you want to capitalize. So far, Sanford is still looking for the opportunity. This could be it. Finding Susujin. First blood for Liquid Philippines.
That was an incredible collapse, actually. So without even noticing it, Susujin was suddenly surrounded on all sides by 3 members, and then they just all crushed him in the center into a pancake. So really nice first blood there. Carl TZ gonna be able to get the first turtle of the game, and already it looks a lot different compared to game number 1. Carl TZ, you can tell that he's a lot more confident playing aggressive on the CEO.
JP getting found out in the duality reaction. So it's not the easiest thing to play into, especially when you have essentially 4 close range in your face heroes, right? You're gonna get sucked in one way or the other. Kartizi takes away the purple ball. Susujin, a way better start compared to game number 1. Sanji even gets away. That's real world manipulation expended by Rinse.
Yeah, the Purify at exactly the time the Spirit of Alpha landed as well meant that there was no way for Susujin to continue dishing out damage. This is now a huge advantage actually for Liquid as multiple jungle camps are being stolen away by Susujin. Kartizi already a full level up and a 1k lead 3 minutes in for Liquid.
Even Dyron struggling a little bit against Sanford. So first call was use Kartizi, bringing him down very, very low. Dyron, he's gonna force to take this recall.
Even though on paper, RRQ should have pretty solid side lane priority, you can see that Liquid have been taking great lengths to make sure that you're not able to play off of it, and now actually regaining control over the other sides of the map. It's actually becoming difficult for RRQ to roam around and create space the same way they did in game number 1. So this is now time to try and make a shift in priority. RQ has a very powerful team fight with Tigreal and Eve. So making sure they're able to group up, keeping the lane stuff out so that they can all be part of kernel fights should be a little bit more effective for them.
The fact that we said that RQ Hoshi has kind of strong side lanes, and right now it doesn't matter as much. This second turtle is going to be important, right? Like Susujin is a level behind Kartizi. JP is going to constantly look for an opportunity. They flicker implosion, but it really doesn't matter. Turtle still goes over to Team Liquid Philippines and the AOG into a divergent play to the back line. RQ Hoshi getting boxed in from multiple angles. Another 2 kills for Team Liquid PH.
Team Liquid definitely feeling themselves now. The flicker implosion, like you pointed out, onto Kartizi specifically to make sure that he couldn't retry. and he still was able to get it. The timing was just slightly off because the rest of Team Liquid was breathing down Sutsujin's neck. Dyron now in some trouble again.
Vengeance keeping him alive just for a little bit, but not long enough in the curtain call. He's not able to save him. So that's the 4th kill for Team Liquid PH. So it's starting to become a bit of a problem. Your strong lanes are getting collapsed on. Susujin against Kaotizi. Kaotizi blazers away. So no shutdown for Susujin.
And this is why I was thinking that it was probably not a good idea to give the Suyo away the same way you did Joy. This is a hero that enables a lot more counterplay. And Edok just blows up so much global presence from this team composition on Team Liquid. Immediately the diversion on the Toy.
Wanted to go for a spin of misery, but Toy able to dodge it in time. Still, they bring Sanford in, so Toy is still forced away from his own tier 1. They want to collapse on the Sanford, drop the curtain call, and the remote manipulation. Sanford just press the sprint. He's out of there. Top tier 1 falls.
Yeah, the sprint is very good at getting out of these particular forms of crowd control. RQ actually in a lot of trouble here. Even in game number 1, when Liquid was behind a lot of the time, RQ only really had a 1k net worth lead, and now, 6 minutes in, Liquid has 5 kills, 4k gold advantage. When RRQ was supposed to have more lane and map priority in general, Liquid have been making a masterclass.
He's straight up dead, but he's gonna try and take Sanford with him. Impulsion committed, Sanford surely is gonna go down. JP with the AOG, Susujin the next target. Oh my goodness, the duality is too much. Yuktezi wants to commit further, but finds no angle. So still at the end, Liquid Philippine, they find 2-4-1.
Loi is a pretty classic Sanji hero. Been a long time since we've gotten to see him play it on a stage like this, but I am very happy to see it. And you can tell just how much it's enabling Team Liquid. They can rotate around very aggressively. Even if they make mistakes in terms of movement, a single diversion will instantly correct it and bring them right into the heart of the action. And RQ has a lot of heroes that ideally need a couple of items under their belt before they're able to really start oppressing their opponent. Liquid not giving them the opportunity to do so, it's slowly tightening the vice grip across the map.
Holy cow, one duality is half of Ritz's health bar.
That's just low E gameplay for you.
It's just, yeah, slow in a nutshell. And you proc the Little Unation just like that. So easy. So that's gonna be Queen's Wings next, I think, for Susujin.
It does look like it. He ideally needs something to survive diversion. Once again, they're looking for Toy.
Oh, he's so dead. He is actually just, he's helpless.
This Loi has been enabling Liquid so much. It's not just the diversions, it's just straight up the damage from Sanji that RQ is not ready for. They're at least able to secure the buff here. Not stolen by Liquid, but Kaltizi isn't even in the area. Look at how much damage he does to Dyron.
This AOG past the tier 1. Dyron is dead despite having the Vengeance. JP will be sacrificed. Great RWM. We're gonna catch Sanford in the crossfire, but Sanford has sprint. He gets out. Kaltizi just casually walks out of the RWM. So 1-for-1 trade, but still Liquid. They have a 7k goal advantage.
This is a completely different team from game number 1. I did mention, right? Pick a composition, play gameplay that feels more Liquid. And if you ask me, this is feeling a little bit more classic Liquid in general. Like the aggression around the map, the coordination, the movements, the ganking, the insta-kills. Feels very classic. And it's good to see it. RQ, will they be able to adapt to this? Because Team Liquid has definitely surprised them here. They went into this draft with a certain degree of confidence. They were willing to let the Suyo through because they figured they could control it the same way they did Joy in game 1. And Kaltizi has shown them that that was a mistake.
Big mistake. But it's BOD, score up the game, looking to further accelerate the goal lead. Unlike game 1, wasn't able to do too much. Oh, they're looking for Susujin.
They're looking for Susujin.
He has no idea. Spill of Alpha to disengage. We'll have to give away the purple buff.
Sanji is so on top of things whenever he's playing Louis. One of the first players to really show how aggressively diversion could be used on the Land of Dawn. And RRQ now on the receiving end of this. If we do end up going to a game number 3, I feel like this is a hero they have to respect somewhat. Alongside the Suyo, the Bautista does seem a bit more comfortable this time. First Lord of the game pushing up bottom lane shouldn't apply too much damage, but RRQ are really far behind in itemization.
It feels like this game, if Liquid wins the next fight, this game probably just ends right then and there. RRQ Hoshi needs so much more time for Rince and Toys, especially Rince, to even come close to a stage where she can start being a big threat.
Yeah, this has been a very unexpected result. I actually was a fan of the draft here. Oh, Sachidin trying to engage.
Because pinned to the wall, there's not the Lord in the process. All this considered pretty good defense, right? Basically resetting every single wave, so RRQ Hoshi still keeps all inhibs alive, but they are facing down a close to 10k goal advantage for Team Liquid Philippines. So we take a bit of a pause as we try to figure out what the issue is. But I mean, at this point, Liquid, they are just miles ahead of everyone else. Even the passive pierce damage from Yoktz is straight out shredding the health bars of RRQ Hoshi.
And this is a completely different performance here. And we didn't talk about how we wanted to see what Yoktz was capable of. Well, looks like he has responded to our prayers. There is a nearly 10,000 goal difference between Team Liquid and RRQ Hoshi right now. And that is usually the point where it becomes impossible to make that comeback unless your opponent just makes a massive mistake. Because unfortunately, RRQ's lineup doesn't actually scale as well into the late game comparatively to Liquid.
I mean, on that note, what can RRQ do? Like, is this game just set in stone, done and dusted, just on top of the point where they don't scale as well into the late game, or is there still kind of a turning point that they could kind of get this game back on track?
It's still definitely possible for them to get this game on track. Like, their team fight is good. Their base defense is going to be solid as well, since they do have the real world manipulation to slow down a push. But I think Edok is going to need to pull out some of that MVP from last game again. In fact, I think he needs to not grab most of the enemy team. If possible, implosion 1 or 2 members, if you can, Yoktz being one of them, and then slowly take apart Team Liquid 1 by 1. Because if you try to implosion all 5 of them together, I don't actually think there's enough DPS to take them out.
I guess it comes down to the Harif once more. It's like how we've seen in a few of our previous games, really the Harif shouldering a lot of that late game damage capabilities. Again, like you say, if Edok finds the setup his life, in this case, it's definitely slightly harder as we are going to take a bit of time to talk more about the game as the players kind of resolve whatever ongoing issues there are, hope to kind of give everyone the most optimized viewing experience.
I think it's clear though from what we've seen that RRQ underestimated Team Liquid going into game 2. Their plans for handling them in game 1 went incredibly smoothly, like super well. So I think they went into game 2 without really thinking that like Team Liquid would be able to fight back somehow. They gave them the Suyo over, expecting that hey, we managed it the same way we managed Noi and Carly's previously. We have like Tigreal and Eve, our team fight should be very, very good. Then Lloyd E kind of slips the mind a little bit. And then it just falls apart a little bit.
Especially when they didn't expect that early game to not go according to plan, right? Like, the plan to control the side lanes and especially that river area where Liquid Philippines just completely stopped them in the tracks. In the blink of an eye, you realize our strong side lanes are not strong, at least not in this context.
The Silence were actually doing well in the beginning, but when they lost the mid lane prio, off of Sanji's ridiculous yin yang reaction damage, then that advantage started bleeding over to Team Liquid side lanes, right? They were suddenly able to push more aggressively. RRQ is not able to like force things as much or poke because they don't really have vision over where the rest of Team Liquid is going to be. And all of that slowly adds up over time to a point where,
Okay, E-Dog, that's the implosion. It's all about looking for Stanford. Ace sprinting away out of this one. That's the pickoff that we need to see. And RRQ Hoshi, again, they buy some time for themselves. Without Stanford for another half a minute, Liquid Philippines, they're going to be down one member. But of course, RRQ Hoshi had to expend 3 ultimates and a flicker for that play.
at the very least, it brought Toy up to his holy crystal timing. You're not going to get scouted.
He just got blown up. Like this Tigreal does not feel like a tank at all.
You gotta respect a fed Suyo. The amount of damage that this hero does when he has any sort of lead is a little bit ridiculous. So I like that RQ tried to push out when they were able to take out Stanford, but yeah, maybe a little bit more surgical with the way they were opening the map. So instead, Carl TZ gets the Lord once again. RQ can be forced into yet another defensive position.
It felt a bit sloppy that E-Dog was so far ahead, but no one else was actively checking the map, right? Like, you would expect Rince to help out a little bit, but he wasn't in position to do so. Of course, RQ Hoshi gonna be ready to give up at least an inhibitor. In this case, it would be the bottom one, because that's where the Lord will spawn.
Yeah, the best case scenario for RQ is that they only lose that one singular inhibitor, but the waves are being pushed up quite heavily by Team Liquid. Surprisingly, not that well synced. So there may be a way for RRQ to keep their other 2 towers alive if all goes according to plan. But Lord's coming in now. Let's see how much damage Liquid can do.
That's the first inhibitor down. That one is expected. Yeah, I mean, the staggered wave actually keeping RQ Hoshi's other inhibitors alive. Toy almost a one-shotter, has to immediately go home. And with the fact that most of RQ Hoshi heroes wants to be up close and personal, it's not that hard to get into one of these stacks. And be careful though, E-Dog, another flicker into RQ implosion. That's the combo that RQ Hoshi needed. They only find JP, and that's just immortality. All that effort to find 0 kills and losing 2 of your own. That has to hurt.
That was like such a good engagement, but a 10k net worth difference is nothing to scoff at. If it was any closer, it would have been a huge catch. But here comes the diversion right into the base.
Right, the side, they want them an inhibitor and they will get it. It's all about zoning out RQ Hoshi. Curtain call ties out UTZ and Stanford, but no follow-up from RQ Hoshi. The Dire even forced to use his vengeance. So Liquid Philippines walks away with a couple of kills and 2 inhibitors.
All things considered, I think RRQ did the best they could in terms of that base defense, considering the deficit that they are playing at. Looking at the items, RTZ is already maxed out, just got that Sea Halberd to finish things off. GFTZ also full on items, immortality completed on JP, that's what kept him alive previously, even a Winter Crown on Sanford because he knows he's going to be the most vulnerable. Only Toy can really match up in terms of gold right now, and he does have Holy Crystal and Divine Glaive, so his damage is respectable, but by himself is not enough to threaten Team Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, for UTZ, he's already maxed out. Toy still has 1 more slot for his items.
Happy birthday, MLBB!
It's gonna be a bit of a headache. The 3rd Lord is spawning. This could be the end game for Liquid Philippines if RQ Hoshi can't find a way to remedy this. But it seems like they're not going to even contest this. This is going to give it away. It's all about the base defense.
Yeah, honestly, I think playing for the base defense is a much smarter idea coming in for RQ here. Diversion not going to be taken. Rince did actually just complete his Wishing Lantern, so that's also a very important item power spike for the heal. So RQ's base defense should actually be pretty respectable here, but still, 13,000 gold difference. That is rough.
You know that you are just unfairly ahead when the dream combo doesn't result in any loss of life. This loss should be easily taken care of by the damage that RRQ Hoshi has. Sanford is doing so much damage to the current call.
Oh,
Yuktz caught out, able to zone himself away. The Lord needs to be taken care of. The dualities here, they're gonna look for the Crystal Yuktz straight for the end game. And RRQ Hoshi will not close out the series the way they wanted to. Team Liquid Philippines ties it up.
Gotta give props to Yuktz. Eyes on the prize the entire time. RQ was trying to stop him from hitting Crystal, but the Lord was already on top of it, and it was a very slow but steady encroachment onto the base of RRQ that left them with no chance to really defend because they had already taken so much damage before, not to mention the 13,000 gold deficit. Team Liquid looking a lot more comfortable in game number 2, and this is the classic Team Liquid that we know and love.
That and the Malefic gun on top, right? The extra attack range actually allow UTZ to be in a safer position, slightly further away from the usual threats that he would face. But Gary, even when you look at the members of the side of RRQ Hoshi, Rinse deathless the whole game. The toy only died once, and it was towards the very end before the crystal blew up.
Like Toy was trying his best to farm, Rinse was trying his best to farm, but when you get the Holy Crystal and Wishing Lantern only around like the 14-15 minute mark, when most of your towers are already gone, then it's already a little bit too late unless your opponent makes some kind of massive misplay. Edoc was only able to get those big implosions when Liquid was pushing into the base. That's how difficult the game was for them in the early stages. And all of it off of Sanji, this Loi Yi, just the ultimate headache for RRQ.
There's no way they can't run directly at TLPH. They have no idea when TLPH will show up at, and once they finally got an angle in, they just were too far behind. So this game's MVP is going to be KarlTzy on the studio, but we have honorable mentions for Sanji and Yuktz.
KarlTzy making up for a less than stellar performance in game number 1 and showing us that he is still capable of playing on these assassin types, just needs the right support system, the right timings, and maybe heroes that are a little bit more universal throughout the game, and Team Liquid is right back to fighting the way that we always remembered them. You would think that RRQ would have a strong team fight here. They have Tigreal, they have Eve, their side lanes have priority, and yet just a moment of underestimation in the early game where they gave up a couple kills too many, and Team Liquid just completely take over.
It wasn't a high octane game too. It feels more like a slow burn from Team Liquid PH. Of course, MVP KarlTzy, the 405 with KDA on this studio. Honestly, from start to end, he was uncontested. Like, he was so fed. We saw that Team Liquid PH have so much early game damage with Suyo, Loi. It wasn't even remotely funny if you are someone like Edoc, who just gets blown up in an instant.
RRQ just didn't calculate the early game damage potential of Team Liquid in this game, right? In game number 1, they were able to play around them very well because Liquid have mostly seamless cores, but this time, like you mentioned, they have Loi Yi, they have Suyo, they have Hilda taking up the other side of the map. It was just a mistake that they weren't able to get the lead they wanted. I think here as well, where Edoc tried to go for the implosion, and still KarlTzy got the turtle, was a huge turning point.
It was even in the early stages, like JP was willing to commit AOG just for one singular target, right? And a lot of the focus were just on Edoc and Susujin, the two main playmakers. And Gyro was sort of like collateral damage, but they had the priority straight. It's all about shutting down Edoc. It's all about getting rid of Susujin. And without these two spearheads, our RRQ Hoshi could not find a way back into the game.
I think you can see from the highlights as well, there is a reason why certain teams will ban the Loi Yi in the first. The diversion is just too much to think about. And even here with the beautiful implosion into the Spear of Alpha, there's just not enough damage. There's no way to punish. There's no way to make the comeback. And because of that, Team Liquid with their massive snowball their incredible lead off of some very clean gameplay and proper punishment of their opponents are able to bring our final match of the day to a full series.
And it could be a unexpected ending, right? I mean, regardless, I know this is probably one of the harder matches to predict, whether you are an RRQ fan or a Liquid Philippines fan. It could end. It could end either way. And right now, I think Liquid Philippines feel really good about themselves.
Yeah, I think this momentum is going to help them a lot going into game number 3, whereas RQ now needs to realize that, okay, we do need to respect our opponents a little bit here. It's not that we can completely deny Carl TZ just by giving him an assassin or something like that. He's the GOAT for a reason, you know? You still gotta remember the accolades that this man and the entirety of Team Liquid has been able to achieve in the past. But since we're going into a game number 3, we're of course going to jump into a short break to make sure that the teams are rested and are ready to compete and move on to the next stage of their group. We'll be right back after this, ladies and gentlemen.
Burning up all my desire to be